What Manchester United need to do in January to finish in the top four. This is a new series of what is next for a number of top clubs in the Premier League. Get into the comments below if you want me to look at your team. But it is Manchester United today. We're going to look at some tactical tweaks. We're going to look at some Ajax footage. We'll look at some Manchester United clips versus Fulham, and then dive into a few transfers and solutions to all of Manchester United's problems. First up, I think the first thing that we have to address for Manchester United is a real lack of goals in the Premier League. United have only scored 20 goals in 14 games. And I think the big thing here, obviously, United are competing with Newcastle, Tottenham, Liverpool and Chelsea for those top four positions. Goals need to start coming. United's goal difference at the moment is bang on 0 in comparison to Newcastle. They're on plus 18. Spurs are on plus 10 and Liverpool are on plus 11. Chelsea have a similar 0 goal difference. This is a big thing that United need to sort out. They need to improve their attack. They're ranked 11th in the Premier League for goals scored. That is simply not good enough. But also, if you look at the underlying statistics, they're ranked 10th by expected goals. These are things that need to improve. Another thing, looking at the Manchester United squad right now, there are glaring holes in attack. United only have one first-team striker in Anthony Martial. I think looking into midfield, I think there's still work to be done there. I think Christian Eriksen's been fantastic in the deeper position, but I think there could be a player that could maybe take on that responsibility now, allow Eriksen to play as an attacking midfielder or wide right, giving United a bit more creativity in the final third. So I think a midfielder, kind of a box-to-box midfielder, a true number 8 is something that United need to address in January. We're not talking about the end of the season, we're talking about January. New striker, new box-to-box midfielder, and even look at a centre-back. Lisandro Martinez and Rafa Varane have been very good, but of course Varane has missed a number of games with injuries this season, so that is another position that I think United need to sort out sooner rather than later. But anyway, guys, let's move on to the tactical side of Manchester United. Ten Hag has mainly played a 4-2-3-1. You'd probably say this is his, first choice starting 11 with Raphael Varane in the side. I think one of the big things that United need to look at and look to move towards is getting a structure that's more similar to Ajax. Ten Hag obviously brought brilliant success to the Dutch super champions with his style of football, with the rotations, with the positioning. We're not there yet. And I think there's still some key concepts that need to be adopted. If you think about Jurgen Klopp, he's a great example of a manager that played a certain system, a certain formation in one country. In Germany, played a 4-2-3-1. Then, of course, his best Liverpool team has been in a 4-3-3. But the principles are the same. Liverpool are still a gegenpressing side. What I want Manchester United to work on, to build on, is building with a back three. I think this is a really important concept that United need to start to adopt and to grow with. That means one of the fullbacks, Luke Shaw, or Diogo Dalot, are basically creating a back three in possession, and the other fullback moves into that midfield area. This will allow United to interchange positions and be fully fluid and flexible. Let's say if Diogo Dalot is in a high position, Anthony's inside, Bruno dropping deep and getting onto the ball, or alternatively on the other flank, as we'll probably see maybe a little bit more with Christian Eriksen's positioning, is Diogo Dalot tucked in, Bruno Fernandes high, Eriksen deep, Rashford inside, and Luke Shaw on the overlap. This is a structure that we've seen over and over again at Ajax that allows easy progression to the wide wingers. It allows you to create from underlaps and third-man runs off the ball. These are big, big things to open up the opposition. And of course, look, I'm not just going to talk about this. I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about. So let's take a look at the structure of Ajax under Erik ten Hag in Amsterdam. First and foremost, the build-up shape. We can clearly see the structure of that back three made of Mazraoui, Lisandro Martinez, and Daley Blind off-pitcher. This is when Ajax are sustaining attacks. They're going after teams and they're pinning them back. And I think the fluidity is highlighted by the fact that centre-back, yes, centre-back Jurrien Timber is in this midfield base. That, of course, for Manchester United, we're talking about structures, could be Lisandro Martinez in the midfield area, Eriksen maybe wide in this moment, and United building with that kind of back three of both fullbacks and the centre-back and Martinez higher at the pitch. That is something that I want to see more. That fluidity is so, so important to break teams through. Number one, creating that back three, very hard to press. And if you do press it with 3 players, there is advantages all over the pitch for you to go and open up. So, of course, we've got Lisandro playing into the feet of Jurrien Timber. From this position, we can clearly see Ajax's attacking structure with their front 5 players, something that we don't see frequently enough from Manchester United. You know, stretching the opposition, taking up the inside channels, having a player that holds that centre space, makes progression, as we mentioned, very, very easy. When you narrow up your base, those progressive passes are simple passes. You play it to the winger, you progress the play, you're in your opponent's half. Ajax go with that, and we can see this kind of model here, how Ajax have narrowed the opposition, and then they've gone to play wide. And again, the fluidity. Ryan Gravenberch, who starts in left defensive midfield, is on the left wing with Tadic inside. This fluidity we don't see enough for Manchester United at the moment, with players rotating and changing positions. This is something that all top teams do to open up the opposition. But that's an example of the base of the build-up being with a 3, it then moving to the, you know, the midfield line, and then of course the options that midfielder has on the ball is pretty incredible. You can see, of course, Daley Blind offering an option as well. But moving forward into the final third, I think one of the key things that we don't see enough for Manchester United, third man runs and underlaps. Here's a prime example against PSV of a perfect underlap. Again, we're seeing the positional rotation of Ryan Gravenberch holding that wide area, and then the underlap coming from Dusan Tadic. Why this is so penetrative and punchy is because you're causing so much problems. You know, the centre-back has got to deal with the striker, but also the full-back has got to deal with the winger and the outside midfielder. And the technical quality of a midfielder versus a full-back, you know, the advantages are massive. Tadic spinning in behind, Ajax committing bodies into the box, Tadic finding the pass, and of course Berghuis providing the finish. We've got some more examples of this kind of narrow build-up. Ajax again building in a very similar space. The right back tucking in, again to open up that easy, progressive pass to the winger in their attacking 5 structure. Again, you've got bodies on the opponent's back line, you've got runners from deep. You've got 3 players already in the penalty area. This is something we don't see enough from Manchester United, and when they do that, we'll see more chances, more expected goals, and thus for more goals. Again, this situation with Anthony, 2 options, cuts inside, whips the ball to the back stick for a runner from deep. Dusan Tadic to fire the ball home. Again, another simple situation. We can clearly see that 3-2-5 build-up, and again, Mazraoui, very open from a tactical position, knows that he needs to join the attacking line because David Clasie has dropped into midfield. The ball's not on now, but it narrows up the Borussia Dortmund midfield. Again, opens up the easy pass out to the winger. We could see this starting to be a bit of a, you know, situation where we're saying the same thing over and over again. It's becoming a trend. Simple progression. Anthony 1v1, again, what you want is you want to create those superiorative overloads where your winger is going to be better than the fullback in a 1v1 duel. Create that situation, Anthony gets the ball into the box again, and Sebastian Haller heads the ball home. These are things that United need to do. As we mentioned, the structure, this kind of 3-2-5, this structure needs to be more apparent. United need to be narrowing up their kind of base structure to open up that space for the wingers on the outside. That's what Manchester United need to do, because they've got players such as Marcus Rashford and Anthony that excel 1v1. We're not getting the ball enough to these players. The progressive passes need to be coming from that base into the attacking areas. Simple as you like. Combination play, inside runners, third man runs, you know, simple as you like. And I think that's something that Man United need to work towards and are working towards right now. And I think that's a big thing. United need to play quicker, need less touches in the build-up. Ajax, there's many examples of them playing with 2 touches before playing wide. This gives the defenders less time to move, less time to shuttle over and close down the pass. Tempo needs to be better. Fullbacks inside, fullbacks in narrow positions. We know that that's a key thing as well. You know, be it in that kind of back 3 structure that we mentioned previously, getting that fullback into a narrow position to open up that simple kind of progressive pass out wide, really, really important. But also, I think United need to get more options in the penalty area. You know, that front 5 needs to get into the box, even at times attacking with 6 players. This is something that will start to come in the second half of the season, I think, when teams potentially play a back 5 against Manchester United. You simply have to overload that with 6 players. Simple as you like. And finally, the last little positional thing that I think needs to improve is United need more balance on the right-hand side of the pitch. Too frequently, as we see Anthony really isolated with only Diogo Dalot supporting. We've got a lack of drifting from either Eriksen or Bruno Fernandes into that position. Bruno likes to go left. At the moment, Casemiro seems to be playing as a left central midfielder. We're naturally going to move into that zone. For me, the spacing needs to be better. Either Eriksen starts as a right central midfielder and moves into that inside channel is my preferred option, or Bruno Fernandes drifts more right than he drifts left. This is a big thing that United need to kind of work on and fix. You know, if you take a look at the Everton game in the Premier League, it's a great example of how United's attack is so poorly balanced. I could see with number 14, Christian Eriksen, Bruno Fernandes, Rashford and Shaw all on that left-hand side of the pitch. United need to be positionally a lot better, especially on the right-hand side. And be it, is Christian Eriksen starting as a right central midfielder and moving into that advanced area, or Bruno Fernandes starting more right and going left? I would prefer Eriksen inside left, Bruno Fernandes inside right. 4-1-4-1 in an attacking structure would be better for me. But let's talk about players and positions and stuff. Of course, Manchester United have lost Cristiano Ronaldo, so they need to replace him. It's as simple as that. United can't go through the rest of the season with one centre-forward, considering that Anthony Martial has already missed 15 games this season with a combination of injuries with his back, Achilles and hamstring. The big thing with Anthony Martial is he is actually the perfect Erik ten Hag forward. Erik ten Hag has said that Anthony Martial is my type of forward. He's got 5 goal involvements and just 231 minutes of action in all competitions. He is the perfect guy, but needs to be fit. It's as simple as that. If you look at his expected goals, only Haaland has got a higher expected goals per 90 than Anthony Martial in the Premier League this season. But even if you look at expected assists, only Jose Perez and Mitoma have a higher XA per 90 than Martial. The guy has the potential to do it all, but United need to look at options. They need players that could come in and do a job for Erik ten Hag's team. Of course, the big one that I think would really work, I think, from looking at Cody Gakpo in a really detailed analytical position, he is a striker. We did a video on it. Go and check it out, how Cody Gakpo would fit into Erik ten Hag's Manchester United. He's a player that I feel is more of an inside forward than a creative winger. He spends a lot of time in the striker position, creates a lot of chances from set pieces, positions himself on the last line, is reportedly available for just 50 million euros. And I think that would be a fantastic option for United to give them depth as well. Gakpo's not only going to play in that striking position, but also could play wide left. Again, Martial could come in, Gakpo could play that position, and it's something that he does a lot at PSV Eindhoven. It's spending his time in those narrow areas, to get himself in attacking positions, in striking positions. As you can see there, he's basically playing as a left striker. In terms of his narrow position on the pitch. Other players to look at, of course, Atletico Madrid, the interesting club, are saying that they want to sell João Felix for around 100 million euros, 86 million quid. João Felix is one of the best players I've ever seen live. That is where I would put him in terms of his touch, his ability on the ball, and his ability to put the ball in the back of the net. The one concern you'd have maybe with João Felix is his best position has been as a second striker. So in United's shape would actually suit playing as the number 10 versus playing as the central striker, but's got the real quality to put the ball in the back of the net. Left-sided as well. It seems like United are looking at left-sided attackers, even though they need to rebalance their right side. But at the same time, João is such a big talent. I'd take him. I'd absolutely bite your hand off for sure. Looking at options within the squad, of course, we mentioned Anthony Martial as the 9, but Rashford could do a job there, allowing Alejandro Garnacho to get more minutes. He's been such a bright spark when he's played this season. He's starting to really kick on for Manchester United. I think it's a good option for United to have in there, so he's someone that could come in. Let's move on to the kind of midfield replacements, box-to-box midfielders that Manchester United should be looking at to buy. Of course, the big option would be Jude Bellingham. And signing him from Borussia Dortmund, probably unlikely to happen in January, but something that needs to happen. I think the big thing with how he's performed for England at the World Cup, he is this perfect box-to-box number 8 that, Erik ten Hag would absolutely love. Ideal but expensive. Could be on his way to Liverpool. Other players, obviously Premier League ready players. Caicedo at Brighton. I've really enjoyed him. For Ecuador. He's a fantastic talent, Premier League ready. He's had some big games this season in central midfield. He absolutely bosses the show. 111 touches in the game versus Brentford. Ran it in midfield. 1 duel, 6 out of 6 tackles. He's a perfect guy in there, but would be expensive. I'd love to see Caicedo at United next to Casemiro. I think that pairing would be absolutely beautiful. I think he could play that number 8 role well. And the last one we're going to look at in this midfield area, Manu Kone, someone I've spoke about previously. He's still there. He's still an absolute talent in central midfield. He's a player that will absolutely bulldoze the Premier League. He'll come in and he'll fly, he'll win tackles, and he is very much available, 21 years old, big talent, big game against Borussia Dortmund in a recent game, scored a goal in that match, won 5 out of 5 of his tackles. What you're looking for is a player that wins his duels consistently, and that's what Kone is, that's what Caicedo is, and that's what Jude Bellingham is. In terms of Manu Kone, excellent ball carrier, fantastic ball winner. He's in the 99th percentile in European football for dribbles completed, and will provide a lot of duels won in central midfield, which is what I think United need. And let's finish things off talking centre-backs. There's 2 centre-backs that United should be looking at in January to bring in. I think it's an area that United need to spend some cash and improve that area of the pitch. The first player that I would be recommending for Manchester United, Thiago João, that plays for Lille. Really impressed me this season. Not only his ability to win tackles, win duels, but also the ability to carry out. There was a fantastic assist this season that came against Monaco, where he carried the ball out of defence into a brilliant area, played a fantastic ball over the top. He's a player that I like. You look at the quality of centre-backs that Lille have brought into the club recently that are now in the Premier League. Sven Botman at Newcastle, Gabriel at Arsenal. Thiago João is the next guy that's going to be on the conveyor belt. United need to act. Reasonable mobility, aggressive ball-playing skills, dominant right-sided centre-back. The other one that I quite like the look at is the South Korean at Napoli, Kim Min Jae. Is a player that really impressed me when I looked at Napoli a little bit more, and he'd be instantly ready to step in to the first team, not only bossing it for Napoli in Serie A, but bossing it in the Champions League as well. Really good footballer, completed 99% of his passes against Rangers, 95 passes completed, mobile, fast, got great recovery pace, is 2.81 progressive passes per 90, is more than any United centre-back. He's strong, he's quick, he reads the play well, he's very good on the ball. But guys, they're my thoughts on what's next for Manchester United. I think there's a massive tactical situation that United need to solve. I think there's recruitment that needs to happen to improve the squad, and there's goals that need to be scored if United want to get into the top 4. Currently in a very good position, 3 points behind Spurs with a game in hand and 4 points behind Newcastle. United should be flying in the second half of the season. A Cody Gakpo maybe being brought in January would be the ideal target for me. But guys, let me know what you've thought about this in the comments below, and let me know who you would bring into Manchester United. Would it be Caicedo? Would it be João at the back to come in and be a dominant right-sided centre-back? I've been Statman Dave. Subscribe if you're new. We'll see you later.